Friday morning, and the Aotea Centre is abuzz with rumour. Malaysia and Australia want a hard line taken on the French. The British will not budge. New Zealand is in the middle. What's being proposed as a compromise is a separate communique on nuclear testing. But overnight there have been developments on the Nigerian issue. Prime Minister Jim Bolger has had a secret meeting with the Nigerian delegation. At this stage, details are sketchy, but at least one New Zealand official is privately saying that the government is optimistic that the Nigerians may offer clemency to the 9 persons condemned to death. But first, an emotional moment. The opening ceremony, the first ever attended by Nelson Mandela as President of South Africa, a country whose political past has played such a part in politics in this country.
We are pleased to express to the Prime Minister, the government and the people of New Zealand, our sincere gratitude for the warmth of their welcome, the sacrifices they made for our own liberation, and their continuing commitment to our success. We too shall try our best to act in solidarity with you as you strive to solve your own problems, to respect and protect the rights of the indigenous people of this beautiful country.
Perhaps a gentle warning for Mr. Bolger from the man it's plain our Prime Minister listens very carefully to. Certainly it was clear that Mr. Bolger would look to Nelson Mandela for leadership on the Nigerian issue. But for all that, Mandela's speech had disappointed one veteran observer.
There was nothing really very special about it. And I think Mandela, I don't know, he seems to me to have, he is suffering from a bad throat and so on, and he didn't seem on form to me.
After the pomp of the opening ceremony, the optimism about the condemned Nigerians will prove to be tragically misplaced. But the conference's first session is surprisingly quiet. No one attacks Britain, though Dr. Mahathir attacks France. John Major restates his support for the French nuclear testing. By lunchtime, though, there's a suggestion that working out the wording for the communique is proving difficult. There is resistance, almost certainly from Canada, and some smaller countries, including Tonga, to singling out the French over testing. Meanwhile, concern about the situation in Nigeria is growing, with news that the executioners have arrived at the jail, holding the 9 men leading the protest against the military dictatorship. The 9 men condemned to death.
I personally feel a little disturbed about, I am all with those who feel that clemency should be exercised, and exercised as soon as possible. It will be a calamity if those death sentences are executed.
Media attempts to pin the Nigerians down, though, were futile.
What's your explanation going to be to the Commonwealth Day about human rights?
I'll see you when I come back.
When will you see us? What time?
They'll let you know. Thank you.
Back at the conference centre, Don McKinnon was briefing reporters on what was becoming a pedantic debate about the language of the nuclear communique.
What we're talking about now is, can we bring all this into a communique where you're looking at a range of adjectival phrases, and angry, deep deplores, condemns, things like this. It's also looking at whether there is a preparedness by a majority to name the state so concerned. And of course, overall, you're looking at how many do you scoop into this pool? Is it a clear majority? It's not unanimous. So, you know, we recognise there is not a unanimous view on this.
Your Prime Minister, following his meeting with Prime Minister Major, said in effect that there was agreement to disagree on the question of French testing. That appears to have at least distressed in some measure the Australian Prime Minister. Could New Zealand reasonably be regarded as wimping out on the issue at this stage?
No, Mr. Grant, I do not believe you could believe that New Zealand is wimping out on the issue. The Prime Minister was very much quoting the comment made by Prime Minister Major at lunchtime today, when he said, in defence of his country's role in this area, you know, we will ultimately have to agree to differ on this issue.
Hardliners like Paul Keating wanted the communique to condemn the tests and to name France. He'd get his way by getting condemned into it, but he could not persuade the conference to agree to name France and China. But Don McKinnon was also ready to clarify the leaks about the New Zealanders' overnight meeting with the Nigerians.
The New Zealand reaction is that we obviously do not wish to hear the fact that people have been executed. And we have made that very clear before. We make it again, and we would obviously make it very strongly if it did occur. We still hope that they will be commuted.
Well, finally, could you characterise the tone of the talks last night? Were they positive or...
Well, Mr. Foreign Minister Kimi is a very experienced politician, diplomat, foreign minister who is capable of defending his country extremely vigorously.
We left the passage clear with the police who were blocking the...
For once, Mr. McKinnon and his national government colleagues could probably thank their lucky stars some demonstrators had turned up. Possibly not as many as might have been expected, and from a more eclectic range of groups and causes than usual, but certainly enough to demonstrate that this was a country where there was freedom of political activity.